Hello guys, welcome back. I'm Yusuf Shakeel and you are watching CSS tutorial series. In this video, we are going to learn about CSS border property. So let's get started. Alright guys, I have opened brackets and now I'll go ahead and create a new file and I will save this as border.html and I'll write the following HTML code. So we have the doc type HTML, opening and closing HTML tag, opening and closing head tag. We have set the title for this page to border, and we have the opening and closing body tag. Now inside the CSS folder, we'll go ahead and create a new file and we'll save this as border.css. Now inside our HTML file, inside the head, we will include this border.css file inside our HTML file. So we'll write link, we'll set the rel to style sheet and href to css/border.css. And now we'll open this page in live preview. We have already used the border property multiple times in our previous videos. So now in this video, we are going to learn in detail about the border property. So let's start by creating a div and let this div have an ID sample-div1. And inside this div, let's say we have a paragraph, hello world. And now inside our CSS file, since we are going to target this div having ID sample-div1, so we'll write hash sample-div1. And you have seen me write something like this: border 1 pixel solid hash 111. So we have been using this border 1 pixel solid hash 111 in our previous videos to give border to any element in our HTML page. So when we are writing this line, we are actually setting the width of the border to 1 pixel, the style of the border to solid, and the color of the border to hash 111, which is in hex format. And to check the border in DevTools, we have to right click on the element and select inspect, or you can go to view, developer and developer tools, or you can click on this icon, go to more tools and select developer tools. And if you select the element, and if you look at this, you will see we have the content highlighted in blue. Then we have padding highlighted in green. We have border highlighted in yellow and orange for margin. And in this case, we are giving this div a border of 1 pixels. So if you look here, you can see we have a border of 1 pixel at the top, right, bottom, and left. So we have this image representing an element in our HTML page, and this region highlighted in blue is the content having width and height. And we have discussed about padding in our previous video, and padding is this region highlighted in green. After padding, we have the border for the element and it is highlighted in yellow. So a border for an element consists of border style, border width, and border color. So let us go back to our HTML file and create a new div and give this div an ID sample dash div 2. And inside this div, let us create a paragraph, happy. And now inside the CSS file, we'll go ahead and write hash sample dash div 2. So border style. Now an HTML element will have border style for all the 4 sides. So we'll have border top style. This is for the top side. We will have border right style. This is for the right side. We'll have border bottom style. This is for the bottom. And we have border left style. This is for the left side of the HTML element. And 5 commonly used values for this border top style, border right style, border bottom style, and border left style property are none. This is when we don't want any border style. So when we don't want any border style, then we have solid, the one that we have used in this sample dash div 1. We have dashed, dotted, and double. There are other values, but these are the most commonly used. So let us go ahead and give this element, this div, sample dash div 2, a border top style of solid and border right style to dashed, border bottom style to dotted, and border left style to double. And now if you look at the output, let me zoom in. And let me give this a line break. All right. So our second div having sample dash div 2 ID is having border top style solid. So we have a solid line. Border right style dashed. So we have dashed at the right side for this element. Border bottom style to dotted. So the border is dotted. Border left style double. So we have double lines as our left border. And if you don't want to set the border style, then you can use none. So if we set the value for the border top style property to none, then if we look at this div having sample dash div 2 ID, you can see the border top style is set to none. So the border top is no longer there. So we can set it back to solid. And now if you look at the top border, it is a solid line. So this is one way of setting the border to each individual sides using border top style, border right style, border bottom style, and border left style property. And these are the 5 commonly used values for these properties: none, solid, dashed, dotted, and double. So let me reset. We can set the border style for each of the sides by combining the individual properties, border top style, border right style, border bottom style, and border left style together by using the border style property. So let us go ahead and inside our HTML file, let us create another div and give this div an ID sample-div3. And inside this div, let us create a paragraph and let us set this to border-style. So inside our CSS file, we'll write hash sample-div3. Since we are targeting this div having ID sample-div3. And let's say we want this div to have same border style like div2. That is top style, solid, right style, dashed, bottom style, dotted, and left style, double. So we can use this border style property. So we'll write border-style. And this property takes 4 values. First one is for the top, second one is for the right, then bottom, and finally left. So we want the solid style for the top, so we'll write solid. We want dashed for the right side, so we'll write dash. We want dotted style for the bottom, so we'll write dotted. And we want double for the left side, so we'll write double. And let me give a break for the divs. So now if you look at this div3, it has a solid border for the top, dashed border for the right, dotted border at the bottom, and double at the left side. So we are combining this 4 into 1 using the border style property. Now let's say we have another div in our HTML file, and this div has an ID sample-div4. And inside this div, let's say we have another paragraph, border style. So in our CSS file, we'll write hash sample-div4. And let's say for this element div having ID sample-div4, let's say we want a solid border at the top, a dotted border at the bottom, and we want dashed border at the right side and left side. So we can write this 4 properties, or we can use this shorthand by using the border style property. So using the border style property, we want to set the top style to solid, we want to set the bottom style to dotted, and we want to use dashed style for right and left. So we are having a unique value for top, combined value for right and left, and a unique value for bottom. So we'll write solid, and this is for the top style. We want dashed for the right and left, and we want dotted for the bottom. So now if you look at the output, the border at the top is solid, we have a dotted border at the bottom, and we have dashed border at the right and left. So we have combined the border right style and border left style into one by passing 3 values to the border style property. Now let's say we have another div in our HTML file, and let's say this div has an ID sample-div5, and inside this div, let's say we have a paragraph border style. So in our CSS, we'll write hash sample-div5. And now let's say for this element div having ID sample-div5, let's say we want a solid border style for top and bottom, and we want dashed border style for right and left. So we'll write border dash style, and we want to combine the top and bottom style to solid. So we'll merge the top and bottom value, and we want dashed border style for right and left. So we'll merge the right and left value. So now for the border style property, we'll have 2 values. The first one will be for top and bottom. The second one will be for right and left. And since we want a solid border for top and bottom, so we'll write solid. And for right and left, we want dashed border, so we'll write dashed. And now if you look at the output, you can see this div is having solid border at the top and bottom and dashed border at the right side and left side. So we are using 2 values, and we are combining the top and bottom style, and we are combining the right and left style. So the first value is for the top and bottom, and the second value is for the right and left. So when we have border style property set to 2 values, it means we are combining top and bottom and right and left. Now let's say we have another div in our HTML file, and let's say this div has an ID sample-div6, and let's say inside this div we have a paragraph border style, and inside our CSS file we'll write hash sample-div6. And now let's say for this element div having ID sample-div6, let's say we want a dashed border style for all the 4 sides. So we can either use these 4 properties and set each of the properties to dashed, or we can use the border style property and merge the 4 values into one. So we'll write border dash style, and when we merge the value top, right, bottom, left together into one single value, which is dashed in this case, so this single value for this property border style is then applied to the top style, right style, bottom style, and left style. And so if you look at the output, this div is now having border style set to dashed for all its 4 sides. The next property that we are going to discuss is the border width property. So border dash width. We use this property to set the border width of an element. And like border style, we have border dash top dash width for the top side, We have border right width for the right side, border bottom width for the bottom side, and border left width for the left side. And we can use value in pixel. We can use thin, medium, and thick. So let's say we have another div inside our HTML file, and let's say it has an ID sample-div7. And now inside this div, let's say we have a paragraph set to border width. So in our CSS file, we'll write hash sample-div7, since we are targeting the div having ID sample-div7. And let's say we are using 4 different style for the 4 different sides for this div. So we have a solid border style for the top, dashed for the right side, dotted for the bottom style, and double for the left. And now let's say we want to set the border top width to 1 pixel. So we'll write border top width and we'll set the value to 1 pixel. Let's say we want the border right width thin, border bottom width medium, and border left width thick. So now if you look at the output, let me zoom in. So for this element, the top border is having a width of 1 pixel. The right side is having width value set to thin. The bottom is set to medium, and the left side border width property is set to thick. We can use other values also. So let's say we want to set the border top width property to, let's say, 10 pixels. So now the top border width is set to 10 pixels, or let's say 5 pixels. So now the top border width is set to 5 pixels. And we can combine these 4 properties into one using border width property. So let me comment this out. And now we are using the border width property, and it takes 4 values. The first one is for the border top width. Second one is for the border right width. Third is for the border bottom width. And fourth is for the left width. And let's say we want to set the top width to 5 pixels. So we'll write 5 pixel for the first value. Let's say we want thin for the right width, medium for the bottom width, and thick for the left width. So we have merged the 4 properties into one single property value using the border width property. And so the first value of the border width property in this case is for the border top width. The second value is for the border right width. The third one is for the bottom, and the last one is for the left. Now let's say we want a 5 pixel border width for top and bottom, and 10 pixels border width for right and left. So let me comment this out. So we can use the border width property, and this time we'll have two values. The first one is for the top and bottom, and the second value is for right and left. So we are combining the top and bottom value into one, and we are combining the right and left value into one. And we want 5 pixels border width for top and bottom. So the first value will be 5 pixels. And we want 10 pixels border width for right and left. So the second value will be 10 pixels. So now in the output, the top and bottom border width is set to 5 pixels, and left and right border width is set to 10 pixels. And let's say we want a border width of, let's say, 20 pixels for all the sides. So let me comment this. So we can combine these 4 properties into one single property using the border width. And this time we want one single value of 20 pixels for all the 4 sides. So we'll combine the top, right, bottom, left value into one. So we'll have one value for the border width property, and that is 20 pixels. And now if you check the output, the border width for all the 4 sides is now set to 20 pixels. Top, right, bottom, and left. The next property that we are going to discuss is the border color property. Border dash color. We use this property to set the color of the border for any given HTML element. And we can target the top, right, bottom, and left using border top color property. This is to set the color of the top border. We can use border right color property to set the color of the right side. Border bottom color property to set the color of the bottom side. Border left color property to set the color of the left side. And these properties can take value as name of the color. It can take value in RGB format. It can take value in RGBA format. It can take value in hex format. So let's say in our HTML file, we have another div having ID sample-div8. And let's say it has a paragraph border color. So in our CSS file, we'll write hash sample-div8. And let's say we are using the same border style like div7. So we have solid border style for top, dashed for right, dotted for bottom, and double for left side. And let's say we are using border width property. And let's say we want all the sides to have 20 pixels. And now let's say we want the top border in red. So we'll write border top color red. And for the right, let's say we want green color. So we'll write border right color. And let's say we want green color in RGB value. So we'll write RGB. First value will be 0, second will be 255, and the third one will be 0. So we have green color for the right border. And let's say we want blue for the bottom. So we'll write border dash bottom dash color. And let's say this time we want the value in hex form. So we'll write hash. The first two characters for red. So we'll set it to 0, 0. Second is for green. We'll set it to 0, 0. And the third one is for blue, and we'll set this to FF. So the border bottom color is now set to blue. And let's say we want the border left color in RGBA format. And let's say the color is some random value. Let's say 100, 150, 200, and 1. So we have 4 different colors for the 4 different sides for this div having ID sample-div8. And similar to border style and border width property, we can combine these 4 properties into one using border color property. So let me comment this out. And let's say we want the same values for the 4 sides. And let's say we want this 4 values and we want to use border color property. So in this case, the first value will be for top, second one will be for right, third one will be for bottom, and the last one for left. So we want the top color red, so we'll use the red value. We want the right color to be green, so we'll use RGB value. We want the bottom color in hex, so we'll use the hex value. And let's say we want the left side color in RGBA format, so we'll use the RGBA format. And now we have 4 different colors for the 4 different sides. Now let's say we want a border color of red for the top, blue for the bottom, and green for the right side and left side. So let me comment this out. So we can use the border color property, and this time we will have 3 values. The first one for the top, the second one for the right and left, and the third one for bottom. We want red color for the top, so the first value will be red. We want green for right and left, so we'll use green. And let's say we want blue for the bottom, so the third value will be blue. So we are using 3 values for the border color property. So the first value is for the top, the second value is applied to both right and left, and the last value is applied to the bottom side. Now let's say we want red color for top and bottom and blue color for right and left. So we'll comment this. So we'll write border dash color, and this time we'll have 2 values. The first one for top bottom and the second one for right and left. So we want red color for top and bottom, so the first value will be red, and we want blue color for right and left, so we'll write blue for the second value. And now if you look at the output, we have red color for top and bottom, and we have blue color for left and right. And let's say if we want red color for all the sides, Then in that case, we'll use border dash color property and we'll set only one value. And this single value is for top, right, bottom, left. So we are combining the 4 values into one. So we want red color for all the sides. So the value will be red. And if you look at the output, you can see all the 4 sides are now in red color. So when we set the border color property to one single value, red in this case, so it means we are applying that value to top, right, bottom, and left side. The last property that we'll discuss is the border property. So border property. We use the border property to merge the style value, width value, and color value together into one. So we have border top for the top. We have border right for the right side. We have border bottom for the bottom side. And we have border left for the left side. And these properties take value in the following format. So value format. The first value is for the width. Second is for the style. And third is for the color. So let's say we have one last div in our HTML file. And let's say this div has an ID sample-div9. And inside this div, we have a paragraph and the content is border. Now inside our CSS file, we'll write hash sample-div9. And let's say we want border top to have 1 pixel width and we want a solid border, so style will be solid, and we want the border to have red color. So we'll set the border top property to 1 pixel solid red. So let me zoom in. So you can look at this output. The top border is 1 pixel solid and in red color. And let's say we want the right side border to have 10 pixels width and let's say dotted style and blue color. So we'll set the border right property to 10 pixels dotted blue. And let's say we want the border bottom to have 20 pixels width, dashed style and green color. So the bottom border is now having 20 pixels width, its style is set to dashed and it is green in color. And let's say we want the border left to have, let's say 30 pixels width, and let's say we want the style to be double and color, let's say in hex format hash 999. So the left border is now having width of 30 pixels, its style is set to double and its color is set to hash 999 in hex format. And let's say if you want to apply the same border width, border style and border color to all the 4 sides, so in that case, let me comment this out. So in that case, we use the border property and the first value is for the width. So let's say we want all the sides to have 10 pixels width, and let's say we want all the sides to have solid style, and let's say we want the color of all the sides to be blue. So in that case, we'll use the border property and we'll set the value to 10 pixels solid blue, where the first value is for the width, second is for the style, and third is for the color. And this is applied to all the 4 sides. Alright guys, this brings us to the end of this tutorial. I'll post the tutorial notes on my website duyclassroom.com. The link will be in the description. And all the code that we are writing in this tutorial series, I'll put them in my GitHub repository. You will find the link in the description, so feel free to check that out. And if you find this video interesting, then please give this video a like and please subscribe my channel. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video, and like always, stay happy and keep smiling. Bye.